Hello, this is Mike Lively, and this is our third video on hacking Papervision. And what we've been actually doing in this series is removing the number 3D class from Papervision and substituting it with the internal vector 3D class that's inside the Flash player. And so what is a vector 3D or number 3D anyway? So if you come along into the program and you roll over, you'll get that code hinting. So if you roll over the particular quantity, you'll get some code hinting real quick there. F2 to make that stay. Let's move that over a little bit. And so basically what vector 3D is, it's basically an X, Y, Z. It just holds that position in space. But with that position you can do a lot of stuff, like take the cross product, the dot product, and a lot of different cool fun stuff. And we're going to start explaining what all of that means. So in this last tutorial we actually had a real substitution where we actually had to convert degrees to radians. And sometimes you need to go back and forth, and why do you? So let's go to our little write-up and explain that. So what we're going to do as we move through this series is actually explain the mathematical principles of this 3D math, and we may come back later and summarize that as well. But we had two static methods here, and one is basically to degrees or to radians. So what does all that mean? Well, it all kind of starts with the unit sphere. So let's take a look at a circle. And in a circle you know that you have an angle in a circle. So as you have this little ray here and it traverses around the circle, then you actually create degrees. Now, well, there's two types of angle quantities. There's radians, and then there's degrees. And degrees is what I call human readable. So you start with a circle, you have 0 degrees, you go around to 90 degrees right here. Then you have 180 degrees, and you have 270 degrees, and you have 0 or 360 degrees all the way around the full circle. But you know, the math functions in Flash do not understand that. They only understand radians. So basically 0 or 360 is 0 or 2 pi radians. 90 degrees is basically pi over 2 radians. Pi is 180 degrees radians, and 3/2 pi is 270 degrees. And so you need to understand that. So in the program what you're actually doing is you're converting the human readable degrees to radians, so Flash can actually plug that into its sine and cosine and actually come up with the correct number. So remember, once again, those math functions need sine and cosines. At this point, let's proceed with our hacking. So once again, my best friend is the error checking in Flash Builder, and I've taken care of another error, and I'm going to keep moving on. So let's go ahead and take a look at hacking PV3D. Open up the SRC folder, open up the org folder, and let's just go right to the next error. So we have an error somewhere in the core, and let's go down to that real quick here. It's in the math methods, and it's called quaternion right there. So let's take a look at that and see if we can fix that error. So if you come along here, once again, when you have a Flash program, if you have an error, you'll get a little red bar at the corner here. Let me bring that down so you can see it. And so what I want to do is I want to click on that little red bar right there, kind of red rectangle, and that'll take me to my error. So let's click on that. And let's see what we have a problem with. Well, we're seeing number 3D there, so let's go ahead and just change number 3D to vector 3D as we've been doing in our programs. So let's come along here and look for the import statement. I don't see it here, so we're going to go ahead and just import the Flash vector 3D. So we'll import Flash geometry vector 3D. There you go. And what I'm going to do, as I've done before, Control F, that's my best friend sometimes when it comes to these replacements, and just replace it with vector 3D. Make sure that's spelled right, and then replace all. Okay, and it goes through and replaces them all, and let's go ahead and save and see if that took care of our error. And indeed, all our errors are gone from that program. It's nice when that's easy, but we're actually going to come upon some where it's not. Here's another error right here, Matrix 3D. Let's go and open up that class and fix it as well. So double click on that. And we're going to see lots of errors here, many that we had to fix. Let's go ahead and just start with importing the vector 3D. So we'll hit import Flash .geometry .vector 3D. Hit return. There you go. And now let's come along, click on this first rectangle and see what the problem is. And you can see that number 3D. So I'm going to use my Control F friend, my best friend once again, and hit Control F. Number 3D is already there, so let's type in vector 3. Make sure you type it right, or you'll be crying your eyes out later. Vector 3D, and hit replace all. And so that will solve some of my problems. So if I come along here and I save, you'll see some of those errors will go away, but not all of them. I have another error here. Let's see what we have to do here. And what I see here is it's actually setting the vector3D to 0. And we don't have that quantity in our embedded flash. So what do? So what I want to do is I want to basically just set these vectors to 0. Well, you know what? When you create a new vector, it actually has inside its method to set those elements to 0 anyway. Let me show you that. So I'm going to come along here and go new vector 3D, and I'm going to hit that little bracket. And when I do, I get some code hinting, and this is very important. I'm actually going to move this so you guys can see that. So let me come along here and do that again. And this code hinting is going to help us a lot when we come doing these replacements. I'll hit this little parenthesis, and there's the code hinting. And notice during that code hinting, x is 0, y is 0, z is 0, w is 0. So it sets the vector to 0. So all I have to do is come along and just replace it with new vector 3D. Now, sometimes you just have to look at the code hinting and figure it out, and then test it and see if your program runs. And we're not close to even testing right yet, but let's go ahead and put that in for each one of our quantities, and that will solve that problem. And as opposed to using the 0 method that is in the number 3D, we'll just create a new vector, and that actually sets everything to 0. Isn't that great? So I'm going to come along, copy that, and just do that a few times. Copy, Control V, Control V to paste, and let's save. See if that gets rid of our problem. And our problem disappeared. That was a pretty easy fix. So let's go to the next error. So let's come along here and take a look at our Flash, and once again, Flex Builders, our Flash Builder, is helping us a lot. It's showing us where all our errors are. And there in the Objects folder, there is an error. So let's go to the Display Object. I'm sure we got a lot of work to do here. Once again, let's get rid of our number 3D. So let's find that, and we can just get rid of that because we no longer need that. And open this up so you can see it. And in its place, I'm going to put my import flash.geometry, right? .vector3D, our best friend there. And what we're going to do is our Control F trick. So whenever I see number 3D, I want to replace it with vector 3D. Very important that we do our spelling correct here. If you get a wrong spelling in here, you're going to be crying your eyes out later on. So 3D. And let's replace all. And so it's taking care of all of those replacements for us. And what we're going to do right now, we're going to hit save. And now we're going to see some unique things like cross product and dot product. We have to figure out how to fix those as well in this program. Hit close. A lot of stuff went away. And I just want to point out, you see cross product right here, and you're going to have dot product as well that you're going to fix. It's not showing an error right yet, but it will later on, so we'll come back and fix that in a moment. Let's go to the next error in the Flash Builder program. And you can see right here in the Proto folder, once again, some new errors have occurred, and here's our camera 3D. And once again, we're going to do our same thing. We're going to get rid of number 3D, and we're going to go import the Flash Vector 3D class. Try it again. And we're going to go ahead and do our Control F. And we're going to take the number 3D and replace it with vector 3D. And now we've got a few errors. Let's save that, see if any errors go away. So all the errors for that class went away. Great. But once again, our display error object is now showing an error. So let's go back to display object and fix that. And now we're starting to see some stuff that we want to see. We've got this lookup function that's not behaving correctly. We've got a minus equal function. We got a modular function. So there's a lot of work to do here. And we'll start that in the next video.